Hey, I'm Kemah Bob, and you're listening to Say It Loud.
This is Desiree Burch, and you're listening to Say It Loud.
And you better say it loud.
Sometimes I'm testing over reasons not to try. This time I'm gonna fight.
Hello, and welcome to Edinburgh TV Festival and the TV Foundation's brand new show, Say It Loud, with me, your host, Jackie. We have a double whammy today. So first things first, this comedian burst onto the scene in 2015, winning the Funny Woman Award. She's been on Live at the Apollo, Have I Got News for You, 8 out of 10 Cats, and she's also the voiceover of Netflix's smash hit program, Too Hot to Handle. She had an outstanding Edinburgh show called Desiree's Coming Early. She's host of Comedy Central's Fat Chat. She's outspoken. She loves to overshare. My kind of person. It's Desiree Burch.
Hello.
And our next guest is from Houston, Texas, where Beyonce is from. No biggie. She's featured on Jonathan Ross's comedy club. She has her own comedy club called FOC IT UP, Femmes of Colour Comedy Club, and has featured on Comedy Central and ITV2. She's one of the UK's brightest new talents, and she's the host of Channel 4's It's a Sin After Hours. Blah. She's a writer, she's a performer, and she's an improviser. It's Kemah Bob!
What a bomb introduction. I'm like,
yeah,
I guess
that's how we do it.
About life, yeah.
Yes.
Girl, do you know what? It's really funny because intros, like, it makes you feel like, okay, I've actually accomplished all this stuff. Like, I'm rocking. Like,
Literally
oh,
every
shit.
intro, you're like, who is that? I thought she was gonna bring me on.
I don't know her.
I was like, damn, I was on Comedy Central. That's what's up.
Your best bio is your obituary, and it's a shame that you're the only person who doesn't get to
Right.
hear it. You know what I mean?
Heck
Because that's
yeah.
gonna be like,
Right.
I mean, people wept rivers in the streets, and she changed the way that everybody did everything. And you're like, could you have told me this 2 days ago when I
wanna
was
see
laying
it.
there feeling peaceful, wanting to hear that? Anyway.
I think we're so quick to forget what we've actually done because it's so hard to see outside of yourself, isn't it? So when you hear it back, you're like, damn,
Turn up.
Yes.
I'm really killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, is that
Right?
me? So,
Also, all of
the
us
best
have
thing-
that like
Yes, go
ambition
ahead.
thing in us that make us look for the next thing. So you never pay attention to the thing that you're standing on. You're like, this is a nice pedestal, but what about the
Facts.
next one? So, right, you
but
know,
why do we do that?
because
We always do that.
yeah, I don't know. It's what got us, like, we needed the attention. I think all of us have the need attention gene, I presume, you know, and then
Yeah.
so we're just feeding on that. And then even when we don't need to do it anymore, we're just like, more, what's the next thing? What do you got? And it's like very, very sad. Just
Hustle.
enjoy your shit. Whoops,
Right?
sorry.
Enjoy.
But do
no,
it.
no. Enjoy your shit. Do you know the best thing about having you both on is that you know each other.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
We don't
Can I
talk
just say
about
the
it
BAME
enough.
show was great.
No, it's true.
BAME show was amazing.
Oh,
Why
that was
is
a good
BAME
time.
show only a pilot, please? Like,
I mean, we definitely were like, we got to do this. Like, we're never going to do it again, because
Yeah.
that's what you feel about, you know, when you're brown and you get a chance, you're like, I'm gonna go in there and as Miss Kemah Bob says, fuck it up. Like, it's never happening
Love
again,
that.
and make them want more. But like, you know, I think that like one person in there, two people were like, yeah. I think everybody else was like, this is really great. Oh.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Like when you go into something like that, and when you're asked to front something like that you feel is a strong concept, a strong idea, and could be really great if if people believed in it as much as it deserved to be believed in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was weird because coming, I knew that we believed that we could make it into something awesome, but also feeling that pressure of like, you know, the cards are kind of stacked against you. They don't
Right.
really want to see this happen a bunch of more times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me work against that. Have fun, as Desiree was saying, that kind of dance like no one is watching, perform like this is the last recording. But at the same
Ever.
time, let's have fun and let's try to make it as good as possible to give it its best chance. It's such a
you know
weird
what?
place to be.
I think what I really liked about it was the fact it kind of parodied traditional game shows. And like everyone is a person of color. There's no tokenism because do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's what I really liked about it. And like, I love in the intro, Desiree, when you were like, and we're not white. Like, it just felt like refreshing. Because,
yeah, what a release, like, especially on Radio 4, right? Just like, oh yeah, like we can all breathe. Nobody here is white. Just a messed up thing to say. But like, I mean, to piggyback on what Kemah is saying, there is that thing of being like, well, rather than taking a chance and wanting this to succeed, we're taking a chance and we're also looking for reasons why it didn't, so that we can justify our fear about having to engage the audience as much every week. Because like, I don't know, radio audiences are intense, I've come to find out in this country. And all of the responses that I saw were overwhelmingly positive, and just people being like, oh, this, and also like, who doesn't need a moment to take the piss out of like the hegemony of radio comedy? Because there is a specific style to it. And if you don't like that style, you better turn to a different network, because that's what you're gonna get.
It was interesting.
Like, I don't know. I feel that way, but then again, I don't necessarily listen to all of it, but I feel like there's a certain style, and just sending up the formula is kind of gratifying, you know, just a little bit, just to be like, oh, here we're, you know, I mean, so much of it is just like, I don't know, puns and wordplay, like, and it's not to like shade, because it's a, you know, it's a skill set, and it's a remarkable skill set, and it's wonderful to be able to flex in that skill set, but it's not the only one. You know,
I want to say, for me, the choice to, like, the fact that it was on Radio 4, to me felt like another sign that they don't care how it does. And I don't know how to describe that, but when I think of a Radio 4 audience, I don't think of us at all.
No.
And so it made me wonder, we're putting that out there, and prestigious platform, but do you satisfy the demographic that this show hits? Do they even know to tune in? Do you create enough content for them to be a part of Radio 4's audience? Who are we making this for right now?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that they are, I would presume that they are very, very thirsty to try to evolve their audience to include people who will be alive in a decade. And that is no shade to the BBC or Radio 4, but like a lot of the people, not all, but many of them are older people who are not going to be able to listen forever, because nobody can. And so I think that they were faced with something of being like, we're at the point where it's no longer about whether or not we want to change. We really have to, and we don't know how. So let's get a couple brown producers to work on this and figure something out for us, because help, you know. And like, I don't know if they feel like, okay, well, we did that. Tick, you know.
We tried.
It's such a shame, because it was so revolutionary, and like, just even when we look at like the fact that there was the spelling of names, that particular feature about how like you could spell Tchaikovsky, or you could spell Schwarzenegger, but you can't spell my ethnic surname.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really incredible, because that is something I was sitting there listening, thinking, this is exactly what I face, especially with my surname, because my surname is Nigerian, so it's Adedeji, and like, it just brought me back to being in primary school, and I'd always be top of the register. And then if I've got a supply teacher who comes in, they're struggling to say my surname, and I just feel so awkward and uncomfortable. And I'm like, this is my surname, but people are always struggling to say it. But then you can say really, really, like, you know, you can say something as pretentious as Tchaikovsky. So I thought, you know, using like Michelle Pfeiffer and saying like spell Michelle Pfeiffer was really funny, because I think, you know, it's hard for you to understand what it feels like, when you're not a person of color, that kind of struggle for people to say your name. Or even with Love Island, there was, you know, a lot of scandal around Yewande.
What happened? Because I never watched Love Island. I'm so sorry.
Well,
what happened?
Lucy, one of the Love Island contestants who was on the same series as Yewande, she's Nigerian and she's from Ireland, stunning. And Lucy, she had basically said that Lucy had struggled to say her name and said, I'll just call you Y instead. And she's like, nope. My name's Yewande, say my name. Yeah. And it's like, there was so many people coming forward being like, I've had to kind of, you know, whiten my name just so it's easier for people to say. And it's like, why do we do that? We should.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird thing too, because I find, not always, but mostly with Nigerian names, like they're far more phonetic than other like European names that are hard. Like everybody just accepted PF as F. They were like, oh, Pfeiffer, done.
This is
just
happening.
done.
Sure.
And then they see the African name and they just give up the ghost. Like, I don't even want to try. I can't even try. Lord help me. I can't, you know, like, and it's like, if you actually like, when you said your surname, I haven't actually looked at it, but I bet that I could probably spell it about 90% right, just because of, it sounds like the letters that are in it.
Right.
Like, and so it's like I'm not going to
confirm.
try. It's so profoundly
very strange.
hurting.
And that moment that was created and that was shared, that BAME show, Famous, and some of the other things that are popping up around this time, around this time anyway, some of the things that are popping up right now, you know, you can feel it from the people, from the audience, from the folks, that this was missing, this was needed, this was cathartic, this feels nice, I'm glad that this is happening, and oh my God, it's on my British television. You can feel that.
Yeah.
You know, and people are so, and there's a lot of, I feel that way. There's a lot of that, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's like we're all calling out for what we're hungry and thirsty for. And it's, you know, it's important to hear that that is resonated amongst other people. Like, oh my God, you wanted that too? Okay, good. Because it feels like a relief and a release. It feels like, oh, there's a different way of hearing things that isn't always coming at me, that I have to like navigate and, you know, clamor over. Like I actually can go in the direction of like what I'm feeling. And it's, you know, like just because like it's going to feel hard for other people, right? But that's why the world includes many different kinds of people.
I also love that you did like a remix of the Fame track, Kemah, about BAME, I'm gonna live forever. I learned how to obey social norms. Yeah, that made me laugh. Pronounce it, like just great. This is a universal experience that we all share as people of color.
Well, yeah, exactly. That it's like, I mean, it's weird when you go to another country and you're like, y'all got the same racism with an accent? Interesting. Okay, cool. You know, like, I get this. Like, I mean, nothing's precisely the same, but like you figure out what spices are in it. And you're like, okay, it's the same dish, just with like a different configuration, but I understand what's underneath this. And also that's like a wonderful way to just sort of connect with people that you know, just like immediately like plug into a person of color who lives in this country. That's like, oh yeah, same shit, different continent, you know?
Dude, I didn't know that there were Black people in France before going to Paris, which is racist to me. Because why were they hiding them?
Why are we not talking about why
weren't they in the shows?
Why
aren't they in the photos?
Yep. Yeah, it's true. Right. Well, it was funny. So when I went to Paris, because I have a whole story of the reason that I got here was like meeting my former boyfriend in Paris. And it's a very long story, but I was staying with a friend of a friend who was, what's that?
Meeting to bone.
Yes. I was staying with a friend of a friend who is a Black woman who is Parisian. And it was so funny because she was like, yeah, the French, the reason the French give for not engaging racism is that when you bring up that something's racist, they find it tacky, which is just a hilarious like French way of doing the exact same shit that like Americans do and British people do. It's just like, they're just like, oh, it's just like, oh, like you bringing that up is tacky. You know,
that's hilarious.
Like, I don't know. There's something so French about that. I almost rolled out into the Seine. It was great, but
so good.
I also just to travel back a second. I love like when you were listing all the BAME shows, Kemah, I was just like, oh, this is great. At some point, there's going to be so many different kinds of shows with BAME in the name that people are going to get sick of the word BAME and we won't have to deal with that anymore.
Yes, we can drive it out of existence.
Can we? Yeah, I was going to say, like, what are your feelings on the word BAME? Because I actually can't stand it.
Yeah,
I also don't like the word diversity either, and I would rather we say representation, and we actually, you know, I feel like
Something.
diversity could mean so many other things. Like
Yes.
it includes so many. So I feel like it's like you say diversity, but I know you mean black.
Look,
Yeah.
and diversity, people really got to stop using diversity. You're totally right, because it means so much and they usually fail to do it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it also means diverse from something, and that is from the white norm that we're like, oh, this is default, as opposed to part of the same stew that everything else in. It's like, oh, we're gonna pour over some seasoning on the like real heart of things. It's like diverse from what? Like just represent. Everybody should feel represented, or like if you can't represent everybody in 5 people, which is impossible, right? You know, that's why you have multiple shows, but like it should be like, you shouldn't look around the room and be like, that person probably thinks the same thing as me. You should be surprised when that happens.
One thing I actually want to get into is that it's funny because in the UK, we have quite a lot of our, you know, black talent. So like Andy Osho, Gina Yashray, London Hughes, who go to America to kind of crack the US market because it's not working for them here. What I find interesting about you both is you're both American and you've come here and you've cracked the UK market. I mean, how come you came here, and why do you think your career is better here than it would be in America? Like, what is, because obviously I'm not aware, because I'm not American, of what the kind of comedy market is like, but why is it working for you here, where it's not working for kind of UK black talent who then go overseas? Like, what is it about the UK market that kind of attracts you? Which is quite interesting that you've come here and you're smashing it in a way that a lot of our talent isn't, I guess, or not able to smash it, I guess.
It's a weird one. We know that this is complicated and loaded, first of all, and I love the question, and I love that this is being asked, because I don't really know this about Desiree, and I don't know if she knows this about me.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is not something that we're ever in the same room talking about to each other at all.
Wow,
so I
fantastic.
guess, I mean, I can speak from my point of view on it, is that, I mean, in either direction, we each have some exotic otherness to cash in on, like to be brass tacks about it. Like before we talk about like the highfalutin stuff, like I get paid because my voice sounds like this. You know, and that is why I have a career in this country, because especially for the past 4 years, I can come on and say a clever thing about Donald Trump, you know, and everybody's like, bro, okay, she's one of us. You know, it's like, it's this totally messed up thing that like, I like, especially because I have that Yale credential, which is like important, you know, in a very sort of like class-based society. Like you say that, if you say that in America and you're doing comedy, everyone's like, why the hell would you do that? Like you went to Yale, like get a real job.
Why are you here?
Why are you here? Like you actually have skills that are,
but
you know,
here
marketable.
they value like
intelligence.
Yes. The value system is different here. And so comedy is valued because like, you know, alcohol and suppression of emotions is real. And so people need something to do to express themselves when they go out to drink to excess. And so I am there to keep them from punching each other's eyeballs out and like, you know, fucking the hole or something horrible, because y'all are crazy when you get
people
drunk. And
Mate,
it is
go
intense.
mad.
Yes. And I'm just like, you know, therapy is an option, but nobody hears me over the violent vomiting in an alleyway and then pounding, just necking another pint. So like, I feel like, one, I'm cashing in on a niche, and I would say like, you know, London Hughes is dope. She's out in LA, like she's cashing in on a niche, you know, because yes, she is Black, but she is also like British and fabulous. And like Americans are still going, yo, they got Black people there, you know?
Hell
and so,
yeah,
like,
because we don't know.
Yeah, we really don't.
We
like,
don't know.
Really?
As uneducated about our own history as everyone else's, you know?
It's hegemony, dude. I swear to God, like, what's that guy's name who is in like Selma and stuff? David
Oyelowo.
Yeah, and then we have Chiwetel, I think his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah. So these men probably taught Americans. First of all, look at us fucking hypocrites. Can't say none of this shit.
I know.
Hey, Daniel Kaluuya, is that right? I got one right.
Daniel Kaluuya is right. Yeah.
All right.
Daniel
Yes.
Give me that Boyega. There's 3. It's 3
John Boyega,
syllables.
bosh.
One of them is boy.
Yeah. Got it.
Simple.
Done.
But I feel like them doing like a late night interview was probably the first time a lot of people saw a Black British person.
Yeah, and they're tripped out when he's on Colbert or something, and they hear his real voice and like, whoa.
It's just the hegemony of the media, like America, because of this Hollywood culture. You know, the media is so dominant, and I feel like it does do other Black communities a disservice, because it gets to the point where lazy racist thinks everybody is us, and they're not even being nice about what they think about us. That's not fair to us or everybody.
It's so interesting you say that, because we had Dane Baptiste on episode 2. He talked about Bamus, what his main sort of goal for it is to kind of establish being Black British as having a cultural identity, because I think when, you know, a lot of, I think in the media, we see a Black person, we instantly think they're African American. We don't think about the fact that they're Black British and what being Black British is. So I think that's a really, really good point, actually. And I actually think it's hilarious, because when I went to Dallas like 5 years ago, I find that like when I go to the shops and stuff, I'm always being asked like, have you had tea with the Queen?
Yeah.
Like, I'm always like, you know, or like, oh my God, you're from England?
They're not called Delasians, but I was about to say Delasians would love you, dude.
It's so funny how, the fact that, like, you know, London Hughes is doing well in America because also she's Black and British, and you both are doing really well because you know that being American kind of adds to your brand and adds to your interest. And I guess I just find that really interesting, how we're having to go to different countries to then
just like a weird like lazy Susan rotate the Black people 3 clicks, and then everyone winds up somewhere else, and just be like, oh look, it's a different kind of Black, same but different, and everyone's like,
oh, this is more comfortable. I'll tell you what, God, so loaded. One, I'll start with kind of how I ended up here and what that is about. It wasn't a load of strategy. It was very, very personal. I can say this because I've already told her I was running from my mom.
Yeah.
I studied abroad here in 2014 just because I was curious, and the English happens here, and I know that already. So I studied abroad here. I had a great time. It was quite stimulating, and it got me thinking about media and a global perspective. And I kind of was able to decide that having a global perspective was important. Being out of America and understanding more than those 50 states was important.
Yep.
And if I could make something that could reach around the world, that would be really cool, and definitely a preference to just those 50. So that was a part of how I ended up back here, because I was very lost. I was in LA. I made some friends in stand-up, and actually they were a bit segregated, because comedy can be very segregated. Was it like comedy, church, and hair salons, the most segregated spaces? And so for me, going to this lovely club called the J Spot, where it's like the Black comedy club in LA, and you know, and me and my friends, they're going and they're smashing it, but there are some clubs that will never put them on, and they've been going for so many years, and there are some clubs that won't put them on. It's gotten to the point where one of my friends told me she's afraid of performing to white people. Why? Because she doesn't do it enough to know how they respond to her stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's legit. Like the two, like often don't mix, you know, like I definitely have had the experience both in the US and in the UK of going and doing and urban show. Like most of my audiences, truth be told, are white audiences, mainstream comedy, whatever, right? And if you do an urban room, which is how they refer to them, it's a whole different section of comedians who are amazing. And you're like, why aren't you on TV?
Why
And then you're
have
like,
I
none of
never
the
met
commissioners are
you?
going here. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Why have I never come across you? And clearly you do this a lot because you are owning it, right? And like sometimes when you're on a road gig, you're like, oh, Toju's here, or like, you know, like somebody, you know, like one of those, but like to have a lineup of like, you're at the Birmingham Glee and there's like, you know, whatever, 7 different acts that are all Black and Asian or something here. And it is a different vibe, but it's like, it's weird that, I don't know, because everybody came to laugh. And like some people are going to laugh at some things and some people are going to laugh at different things. But I think everyone, like at this point, especially, could probably have the patience to like sit around different people and through things that maybe don't relate to them and still be like, oh, okay, that was kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like you always see it if it's like an all Black show with like one white person, you're like, oh, that white girl was kind of funny. Like you can see the like grays.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right. You're all right. You know what I mean? Like, and those are the best shows to do. Those are the most fun ones to do, is when like the audience don't all look the same.
Yeah.
That's part of, not to toot my own organization, but that's part of why I created Fuck It Up, was simply because it's so, first of all, thank you for your support of it, Jackie, Desiree, I appreciate it. It's so simple though. People are fucking idiots. They're booking these, like, honestly, it's insane out here. Why is your audience so white? Why is your audience so white? And why do you think performing to them all the time is fun for me, right? And then as a Black audience member, why do you think watching this all white lineup would be entertaining to me? So mix up your crowd, mix up who's on stage, so everybody can have the opportunity to hear something they can relate to or hear something new. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But because you hear that from people that come to Fuck It Up, they'll tell me like they appreciate it, one thing to see themselves reflected, but also they don't have to worry about hearing a racial slur about their folks at the show.
And like, also, isn't that why we like comedy? Like, I was a comedy fan before I was ever a comedian. And the reason I enjoyed comedy is because a comedian will say something in a completely new way that will make you think about it differently. So people are coming to comedy in part, not only to like laugh and release, but to like have their ideas challenged or expanded. And how are you going to do that if everyone is like you? Like, basically, you came out and you paid a bunch of money to be comfortable when you could have done that on your couch for free at home. And it's like, no, I'm coming out because I want to engage somebody or something that's different. I want something different to happen to me. And you can't do that if you're going to the same spaces and seeing the same people.
I think it's people are afraid of what's different. And I think that's the problem, is that, and I was reading an article on Vice about how a lot of Black comedians kind of were talking on Vice about the fact that a lot of them are rarely ever on the same lineup with another Black person because they get promoted saying, oh, well, you're the same as that other Black comedian. They're like, oh, well, we're not, because we're different people.
Yeah.
Or they won't have one Black person after another Black person. They'll have like a Black person at the top of the show and then a Black person at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is crazy because we are all individuals. And like, I love seeing different kinds of like comedians. It doesn't matter where you're from. I'm so interested in what's different to me. But I guess, you know, comedy's known for being, you know, a white middle class man's club. And you know, there's a few, so I don't know if you guys have seen, but that's a white lineup Twitter, which is a Twitter page.
That's a white
That's
lineup.
Beautiful.
Yeah, which calls out, you know, all white panel shows. Where everybody's white, and they're like, okay, that's a white lineup. And also there's the Comedy So White Instagram. In TV, we have Black in TV, which is an amazing Instagram page that kind of calls out the industry, or if something's happening with the person of color, they're quick to like call it out. And it's amazing.
That's
is
like
wonderful.
that dude that Pierce Morgan tried to get on that one guy. Like Pierce Morgan was attacking that freelance TV dude, and it was just whatever. That's whatever.
Piers Morgan's
when-
trying to continue making money and make himself relevant.
He's
Like,
so
it's
weird.
exhausting. It's
He's
exhausting.
such a strange man. Jackie, when you were talking about that, it highlighted for me when you don't get to work with other people, other Black people, you don't get that opportunity to network and build that community. So you can,
1000%.
you know what I mean, form that Black in comedy group because you met a few other people. It keeps us apart. And I know that's not the intention, but it's weird.
You also, you also don't get to really grow in the same way. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, if you're the sort of special inside of like, here's the main course and here's this extra thing, you don't actually get to like benefit from being like, oh shit, I'm looking at her and I need to up my game. Do you know what I mean? I'm resting on laurels because like, they're just like, let's get a Black one out here. And at some point you realize that and you're like, check.
Yep. At some point you realize it and then you go, I'm Black. Yes, I'm Black today. Tomorrow, you're white.
365 days a year.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're not challenged or whatever, you could find yourself trained into a position where you find yourself only prepared to entertain a white audience in a certain way, and then you have to retrain yourself to not feel most comfortable as other.
Yes. Well, and also like that is what audiences do. Like, it is going to happen whether you like it or not. Your jokes get edited by the audience. When they don't laugh, you bend that shit, you change it, you start like edging in and leaning in toward the laughter like a flower towards sunlight. And like, if you're only getting certain stuff laughed at, it takes a lot, like a strong constitution of character to go, wait a second.
No, that is funny. Oh no, you've thrown that shit out.
Yeah. Or like, oh, I'm just going like, wait a second, actually, that's not funny. It's just funny to you because you are awkward about it and you're laughing because you're like, ha, and like, like Dave Chappelle, like his whole thing was about leaving his show because of the way somebody behind the camera laughed at a certain joke, and he heard it and he knew that they were laughing at like something that felt like a comfortable old chestnut of a stereotype. And like, oh, haha, we know that. And not like, oh, this is actually satire or challenge. And like, that's the difficulty with satire, is that people who get it, get what you're doing. And people who don't just laugh at having their ideas reinforced. And so he was like, wait a second, like, you get trained by your audience for better or for worse. They laugh at certain things and you adapt to that. And you so
go, okay,
audiences are the same.
I got treated. It's very Pavlovian.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but human beings are not as complex as we sit down and like navel gaze and think of ourselves as. Like, we are animals and we are social animals and we get trained by our society. And if our society says we like that and not that, then we're going to do that and not that, What
I love about you both is that clearly you don't really care what people think. You're just doing you, and it's infectious, and I love it, and like I can feel it on this Zoom chat. I'm obsessed.
I mean, until someone, like, honestly, I'll say I'm with you, but I wouldn't give me too much credit because I did a stand-up on a TV and I was talking about being horny, and I knew that my grandma had never seen me do stand-up before, and she still wouldn't.
Yep. Thank you. I was just about to say the reason that we can do this is because both of us have run thousands of miles away from our maternal accountability. All right. My mom does not know what I do. The last place she saw me in was Our Town when I was 17 years old. She has not seen me do anything. And that is the reason that I can say everything. Like, if I had the relationship.
Never seen your stand-up.
What's that? Nope. She is not.
Do you have older parents, Desiree? Like,
yes.
Were your parents a reasonable age when they had you?
No. So like my dad, So my mom was 39 when she had me. My mom is old.
Hella
so
reasonable.
Yes. And she had my brother when she was like 42. I mean,
your dad was 14, so it's controversial.
Yes, pretty much. I know. She was like, I'm waiting for you to time out of this childhood. No, I mean, he was like 25 at the time. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, there's a big age difference, but like, he could do some Googling, but he like waits for me to tell him stuff, which I think is probably kind. And my mom just like wouldn't even think to look, do you know? She's kind of like, this last trip I took home was like when my siblings started to be like, it seems like you're doing really well. And I'm like, bro, you know, like,
yeah, I want to say, just in case you can't, you have no idea.
If only you guys knew.
Yes, but it's great.
My people have no concept of who the fuck Jonathan Ross is. They don't give a shit.
They don't know that it's a huge deal. They're just like, okay, cool. Let me know when it's, you know, the Tonight Show.
How can I watch it?
Yeah.
That's what I get from my Nana every now and then. She's like, you doing something I can see from the US without a VPN? She doesn't know a VPN.
No, it's not happening.
But Kemah, do you think now, and I don't know your grandma, but do you think that her pride would exceed her sort of being appalled at what, you know, her sense?
I got two Nanas.
Okay.
One is the type that will say something to you like, I don't know, I woke up the other morning and I was a little moist. I was a little happy. So
and you're like, I'm so happy my grandma was moist. How old is she?
Yeah, because she was like, I still got it. I guess I'm not done yet.
Damn, Nana.
So that's one Nana. And then I have my grandma who's Catholic, who's a bit older, and whose like version of having an emotional chat is being like, I get a bit nervous in the winter. Like, so there's just there's a different thing here. And so like, for my like Catholic grandma, I think there are certain things, you know, I'm just looking forward to making something that I could show her. That's also true to myself. But it's an interesting one. And also a thought that I've had recently is I came here like for reasons in my I worked out some stuff. I'm now doing things that I love, but I want to know, and maybe you guys can help me with an example. I want to thrive here and at home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the same way that you don't want to train your voice to only speak to a certain color of people, I don't want to train my voice to only speak to a certain country of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how to navigate.
Right.
I don't know what people in LA are like anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. They're still there. They're still thirsty. From last I checked when I was just out there, you know, I mean, and actually, Jackie, you were saying earlier, I'm actually from LA or the LA area originally. I identify as a New Yorker because that's where I kind of came up as a comedian and a performer. Okay. But like, so, you know, my family is actually out there, or like Inland Empire, like, you know, in the dust, like further out from LA, but still in the general vicinity. So yeah, I'm like, I was just out there visiting them and I saw LA people and they were like, oh, it's a pandemic. What's good? Like, what's
it's hot outside. I'll tell you, the reason why I say that is because when I was in LA, my confidence was so shaken. And that's like, that was a part of the personal whatever, and a part of why I left was because I wasn't sure who I was, and it didn't feel like a safe place to find out. Probably because I didn't know how cutthroat London could be, but I had every idea of how effed up LA was.
Yes.
And I didn't feel safe comedically.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, I moved to the East Coast and then for college, and then moved to New York afterward. Because I mean, as messed up as New York is, it is far safer to be yourself, whatever weird, wild variety, than it is in Los Angeles, where everyone's just trying to be what they want. You know, like, I just want to be what you want. I just want, like, I want to be up there. I know I can. What do I have to do? Who do I have to do? And how do I have to do all of it
and
to be there?
You stop questioning, you stop thinking about what you want, what you would like to say, what you would like to put out there. Do you have a message? Do you have a purpose? And you start worrying about impressing people for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And you don't get to hone your creative voice, which is what I think is so beautiful about the Fringe, right? Because everybody has the shot. Not everybody. I mean, there are lots of financial things to consider. Let's not let the festival off that easily. But just about anyone, do you know what I mean, could
Yes.
perform an hour of comedy.
An hour. Like, to get an hour as an American, you get like, you know, when you first started out, I don't know about you, but I was doing mics for 3 minutes. Yes, right? Like, I mean, an hour, like, you're like, wow, there's actually space and people are patient. And they're like, you know, I mean, for all of the weird stuff that happens in Edinburgh and the walkouts and this and that, I have watched people watch something. We're all in a room going, this is not good. And they're sitting there like engaging and trying to engage with it. And that
I've
mentality.
also cried with people, right?
Yeah.
To cry with people in the audience.
Yep.
Where it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know if there's room to cry.
Yeah.
You know?
Would you say it's been easier to kind of find your voice, if you like, in the UK? Because you're allowed to be authentic. Be authentically.
It has.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It has been. I think that there's an understanding and a respect for what it is that we do that gives us space to do it in various different ways. Whereas there, because it is the pinnacle of capitalism, and capitalism and patriarchy do not give a fuck about your special flower. They give a fuck about how can we use you. And if we don't know how to use you right now, go the fuck back to the end of the line and come back when you know how we can use you. You know,
like comedy wise, to say, and you guys have panel shows, this whole institution built around centering and respecting and valuing the voices and opinions and stories of comics. We don't have that. Like, to my grandma, you know, to anyone who's not into comedy, you're either Kevin Hart or Jerry Seinfeld, or you
there's
don't
no
exist.
middle.
There isn't.
The middle is failure.
Yes, exactly. Everything that isn't on TV is like, well, how come you, why
you still do it?
Yeah, why are you still doing it? Why don't you just try harder? I don't get it. And you're like, it's not a meritocracy. Like, it's not like you're going to work your way up the ladder that way. Whereas in this country, a little bit more, like, you can be a road comic, at least before the pandemic, and make a living. Right? You've got TV, you've got corporate events, you've got all kinds of comedy clubs and pubs all around the country. You can tour the country. You can come home at the end of the night from a good chunk of those places, and you can provide for your family if you want to. And that is not a thing in America unless you are on TV or making films or maybe writing scripts. But besides that, everything else is failure. And like, why don't you get a real job? Or like, you know, your skits are cute, but like, get a job. And you're like, I have 4 just so I can do the one thing I actually want to do.
And also, something I like to drive forth in all creative fields or whatever is like, what the fuck makes anyone who currently is paid loads, what makes their, why can we justify them doing it and not me? Why can't I try to go after what I want to do or my goal? Why isn't my voice worth fighting for or believing in, you know? And that's something do you know what I'm saying? What makes Ben Affleck more what, do you know what I mean?
Why can't you go after his goals? Why can't you sit up?
Because like, Kemah, you're real likable. If I saw you on TV or in a movie or in a play or whatever, I'd be like, I like that girl. I want to say, oh, Kemah, she's the one with the green hair. Cool, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, I would want to see that over and over again, just the same as some people felt about Ben Affleck or whatever. So it's like, it really does require someone risking, which nobody wants to do because money and
sit you out there.
Yeah, we should all shoot our shot and see what happens. Yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I need at least 2 shots. I always break the first one. That's why I lived in New York for 13 years. And then I came here. I was like, okay, now I'm going to do this shit right.
Let me warm up. I actually had to leave LA before I fucked up my life for good.
So yeah, we were coming towards something and we were also very quickly running away from something.
Yes.
So you guys had kind of, you've had your time to kind of make mistakes and hone your craft. Then you came here.
Real big ones.
That's nice though.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it was a good time. One day I'll be able to laugh enough to tell the tales.
Yes. Yes. Agreed.
So, because you both are black Brits. No, you are black Brits because you're residing in the UK now.
Oh my God,
I
thank
have a nice
you.
little fun. No, you guys are. I've got a little
Amazing.
fun feature quiz for you both
Oh
to see
no,
how
I'm
Brits
bad at these already.
is.
Fuck.
You
Okay,
really are.
Okay, let's fucking do it. Is this how I get kicked out of the country? Is this when they find out?
Is it worse to get kicked out of the country or to get kicked out of the club? Like, if I just got to be a black Brit and I get kicked out in 3 minutes,
leave. It's too early.
it's gonna hurt.
We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Right. So
In there.
you're about to go on holiday. It's 7 a.m. and you're sat in the departure lounge. What do you drink? Are you having a cup of Earl Grey, a cup of Builder's Breakfast, a coffee, a pint, or a glass of orange juice?
Okay. Do I give my real answer or the answer I think is right? Because those are two different answers. Like, if it's me at 7 a.m, I'm going to have a coffee. But I know as a newly minted black Brit, I'm going to have tea. I'm guessing I'm going to have Builder's tea because it's a little bit more working class than Earl Grey, even though I'm bougie and I will have some Lady Grey very much. Thank you. But yes, I think I need to have Builder's tea. I'm not certain, or a pint, but I've only seen that after 10 a.m. so far.
Okay.
Since you went for the Builders, I'm gonna go for the OJ because as a black British person, I'll never turn down an opportunity to improve my well-being.
Oh, that's wise, right? Also, vitamins are important to get. You're right.
Vitamin C.
Yep.
Well, you're both wrong.
What is it?
It's a pint. Come on, we're Brits. We like to drink.
Yeah, even at 7 a.m, neck a pint. I mean,
yeah. Or a
I've only seen that in Scotland in the morning at the airport, and so I didn't know if that was regional or not. I'm sorry, I should have tried harder on the answer.
I mean, you know how it is with Brits and our drinking culture here. I mean, if you could if they said to you, you're able to get a free drink if you come for the vaccine, I think everybody would go and get.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, why don't they do that? Rishi Sunak was
it.
all like, here's 10 pounds to go eat out. How about come get a free pint on the Tories? It comes with a shot. Get it?
Yeah.
Shot. Come on.
Shots for shots.
Done.
Shots for Shots is a charity gala I could attend.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about how do we get more like, black and Asian people in the UK to like go and get their vaccines. I think shot for shot
Make it fucking fun.
Shot for
is
shot.
great. Just being like, we got tequila, we got vodka, not vodka, but vodka.
Rum and Red Bull. Thank you.
Right? Everybody gets a shot.
Thank you.
Love that. Okay, next question.
Okay.
We just got kicked out. We just got in. We're
No.
already.
You might be all right. You might be all right. Okay.
All right.
What should fish and chips be served on? A plate, newspaper,
Paper.
or in a bowl?
Newspaper.
I'm gonna second the vibe because that says to me, oh, seaside. Also, I just watched RuPaul's Drag Race and there was a lot of chips and newspaper happening.
Nice. That confirms it for me.
Yep, you're right. It is. Newspaper.
All right. Still in the game.
Yeah.
Still in the game.
Okay. Still black Brits. It's cool.
100%.
Okay.
All right.
When you're in a busy bar, how do you respond when one of the waiters drops a drink? Do you laugh? Do you pretend nothing happened? Or do you go, way?
I'm
Why do we do that? I still don't know why. But we all do it.
Support, man. I think it's moral support. Like, hey, babe, your job is hard. You know what I mean? That we're here with you. We got your back.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Also, it's Britain. Nobody likes the tall poppy, right? If you're a full-blown success, screw you. But if you've just come down tumbled off of your pedestal, way, you're one of us again. Yeah. I love it because like even when they aren't even into it, like you'll hear somebody drop a glass and you'll hear someone go, way. Like it's an instinct. Like they're just like, yeah, way.
They might even be on the phone to someone and just come off and be like, wait. Anyway.
Yeah, back up. Like, sorry about that, but you already know. Absurd.
All right.
Okay, next
three
question.
is good. How are we doing?
Right. Yeah, you guys are doing it. Okay.
Good.
You've just started a new job and you bump into a new colleague on the train to work every morning.
No.
What are you doing? Are you changing your commute? Are you talking to them because it's nice to be nice? Are you arriving to work half an hour early to avoid speaking to them, or are you pretending to be asleep?
Wait, what, where's the first one?
Are you changing your commute?
Okay. Can't really do that.
You
definitely can't talk to them. I think you have to be asleep because you're not going to get to work a half hour early. Let's be real. You have to pretend to be asleep like walk in and go every day.
But you know what? I feel like the other ones call for too much effort on behalf of the Brits. You know, they require me to go out of my way, to be early, you know? And I think, is there an option where you're just rude? No, because this is the UK.
Yep.
So yeah,
we say sorry for everything.
I think pretending to be asleep is the rude option, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
it's either that or change your commute, like literally just pick a different train to go, or if you're lucky, like if you're always at one end of the train, then you always just have to walk to the opposite end, so you're not in the same car.
I'm doing the sleep one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's actually arriving at work half an hour early.
Really?
To avoid, yeah.
Wow, y'all are really
not
into human connection.
No, not in the morning. Not in the morning. And
fair,
also,
that's
it's
fair.
like
That's fair.
Like I need to just like defrost, and then you're like getting into work chat, and then it's like, okay, then now I want to go to like Pret and get a coffee, and then you kind of have to come with me.
Yeah.
Like it's just all kind of, it's just like it's too much. Like I shouldn't be on my own. Like I get it.
It sounds horrible, honestly. Like low-key the plot of a fucking horror thriller.
I know, it's just like, oh, so talk to me. Okay. On the tube, what escalator side do you stand on?
Right.
Yeah. Stand on the right or get left.
Well, it's Britain, so you stand on the right, and then one person stands on the left. You go, oh, and then you go around and then keep going.
It's the huffing and puffing.
And it's like, are you having fun back there? What's going on?
Yeah, I used to stand where I wanted, and that did not go down well.
No. Oh no, we don't like. No. Like people get vexed.
I mean, and I get it in the morning in rush hour. It is like an express, like, you know, it is really moving. And like, I've literally stepped out of the way because it's going too fast. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll pull over into the hard shoulder on the right and let it go past for a bit until I catch my breath and then dip back in because it's intense.
Hell yeah. I have to try to like pretend that it was like a choice to step back in, like not like I'm not tired because I don't do stairs.
Especially going up, like you're like at like Angel Station, you're going up the stairs to be fast. You're like, oh, this is cool. And then you get to the second lane, you're like, these go on forever. I can't commit to this.
Also, I feel like as well, like when I'm like, right, I'm gonna walk up all the escalators and I get tired, I feel like people are judging me, like, oh, okay, so you thought you could walk, okay? Like get back in line.
Yeah, you shouldn't have even tried. You shouldn't even tried halfway.
Like, no.
That is also a great name for a reality show. So you think you can walk?
Oh God! Welcome to So You Think You Can Walk. I'm Feet Peterson.
And I'm Cam.
I'm Cam Alto.
Oh my God. We took 3 random people and clubbed them in the knee with a crowbar. Yeah, we full-blown Nancy Kerrigan them. Let's see who can walk.
Oh my God, you're trying to like pitch the sequel to Flinched?
So you think you can walk. Just like we threw a washer dryer at this woman's face. Let's see if she can still walk.
Yeah.
And last question, ladies.
Hey, this is for all the money.
Oh God.
Right. You're making a roast dinner. What is essential? Roast potatoes, Yorkshire pudding, tofu, or rice and peas?
Mm.
I mean, first two, but I feel like it's Yorkshire puddings, but I could be wrong. I could be really
I'm
wrong. It
gonna
could be the
go
potato.
YP. I'm gonna join you on YP.
Okay.
People seem to be really into it. Yeah,
They're nice. I like a little, it's like, it was the original
Oh,
bread
they're
bowl,
so good.
right?
it's very exciting.
You're like, it's got stuff in it
Yeah.
and then you can eat it. That's beautiful.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, you're both right. It's Yorkshire pudding.
Yes.
Oh my
Come
God.
on,
I was
Black
really
Oh.
worried about those potatoes. Okay, I think we did okay.
This feels so good.
Ooh, I don't know if the actual immigration entry, like, British knowledge test is that
it needs-
rigorous.
Hell yeah.
No, it needs to be on. It needs like these questions need to be on the British citizen test. But
Mhm.
to be fair, a lot of the questions on the citizen test, I don't think I could answer, and I don't think a lot of Brits would be able to answer either.
That
Like,
is what I've been told. And I would bet
Yeah.
the same is true for the American nationalization test. I bet
That's how
it's
you
all
gotta
like,
do it.
yeah, well, it's like they're asking you about bodies of government and like who has checks them. And I'm like, I don't remember civics from high school or whatever we did in grade school, So yeah, I think, well, I don't know. One or both of us might have to take that test one day, Kemah. I don't know if we need to form a study group or what.
You're passed
Hell
with
yeah.
flying colours.
I hope so. I'll just write slavery is a choice, imperialism rules.
With a Z.
Yeah, and they should be like, I like this.
Yeah. I know all the words to Rule Britannia. Does that count?
Rule Britannia with marmalade and jam. I just have to like.
Oh, you need to know the alternate version. That's right. That's like World War II songs and stuff. You need to know the other.
Yeah.
The secret lyrics. Okay. Gonna work on this.
Oh.
So we've come to the end of the show, and this is the part of the show where I ask guests, what does Black joy mean to them? Black joy means different things for different Black people. So I want to ask you, Kemah, what does Black joy mean to you?
Black joy to me is honoring yourself no matter who is watching. And I think it's so hard to do, I think every person, I'm not like some colorblind idiot, but I think every person, regardless of their background and culture, struggles to a certain extent to be their true self. And when you have stereotypes thrust upon you, it's even harder.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I think Black joy is.
Love that. What about you, Desiree? What does Black joy mean to you?
So I think Black joy, well, to me, Black joy means being able to be fully in your body, like fully present, fully in your body. I mean, so much I think of what Black culture is in a way, and the expressiveness of it is like fully being in your body and your power, because those are things that are constantly being like, people are constantly, or society systems are constantly trying to strip away, like our bodies, our lives, our power, are actually being able to like not cut ourselves off up here, code switch, do all the other things, but to actually like bring your whole self to work day, be fully there, like fully laughing, fully dancing, fully crying, fully whatever.
First
but like
of all,
fully being
bring
there.
your whole self to work day is a hilarious sketch.
Yeah, like my whole self.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you're ready for that.
All right.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's gonna get brought though. So but people, like, companies say that and they're like, yeah, and you're like, but for real though,
Are you
like, I've been
sure?
bringing 5% and fluffing it up to like look like 100.
Right.
So if
I
you get
saw-
100, you might be scared.
Hell yeah. I saw
Yeah.
a tweet today that spoke to this, and the comments spoke to it so much. And it was a person saying that they were interviewing a new hire. They were talking to a new hire, and as soon as the new hire said they were from South London, they were both able to drop the work facade and have a conversation on a different level. And it was so touching, because everyone who was commenting and sharing that was like, I love this joy, but I hate the circumstances of it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
people are commenting on how much energy it takes to, you know, contort yourself into something that is suitable, you know, for everyone, maybe but you. And it's just so interesting. And also the fact that sometimes people are taught to associate certain things with unprofessionalism. To call or just to label things unprofessional, when in reality it's like, but if Jeff did it, he'd still be working here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not unprofessional. It's just Black, and you didn't realize you learned that bit of bigotry and you're passing it on. So be awake, you know, and aware of that.
Part.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you both so much for coming on Say It Loud. Have you had the best time of your life?
I mean, of my life. I get to, we're both now we're dual citizens of Blackness now.
Yeah.
Yes,
How
you are.
amazing is that?
Which is huge.
Come through, Queens.